Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Terraces with Richard Shaw. Due to the amount of content, we have split this up into two parts. Right now, you're listening to episode 1. Keep your eyes and ears out for episode 2, which guarantees to be just as good. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers.
So, welcome to another episode of the Turf to the Terraces podcast. Joined by the co-host Scott Goodwin and the very notorious Richard Shaw. How are you doing, Richard? All right?
Yeah, I'm good. I just want to put a quick apology to the boys for being late, because I don't like lateness. I was caught through London in traffic today, so...
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I was watching one of your podcasts this morning, you've done with someone else, and you mentioned about your discipline, timekeeping.
Yeah.
So, that was a good one, seeing you
I
said
do,
about
I do hate timekeepers.
Appreciate it.
As my apologies.
Stick the 50 quid in, Shawsy.
Yeah. I know you say that.
That's Scott all over it. But if you've not seen the show before, what we do is we separate it up into 3 sections. So we've got the first half, the second half, and the half-time interval. The first half, we'll talk about your perception on the good, the bad, and the ugly side of the game. Half-time, a couple of quick-fire questions, maybe a little bit fun. And the second half is basically the highlight and the lowlights of your career as well. Makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, be a few of them, no problems.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We just want pure stories, Shawsy.
Yeah. We'll intervene, ask a couple of questions along the way to try and make things a little bit better. But first of all, one I wanted to point out, centre back, 5'9", like.
Yeah, that's the Wikipedia page. I think I'm a bit taller than 5'9".
Yeah, you've got to be 6 foot.
Yeah, I think you can edit that. I said that about the other day.
I'm done. Oh, he's bigger than me. I'm 6 foot.
I'm 5'8".
What are you, Scotty?
5'8".
5'8". Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, let's
I
look
don't
at the
know.
shoes first.
It's all about timing anyway. It's all about timing and anticipation.
There you go, mate. Reading of the game, said.
Yeah, no, do you know what I meant? I started off like every young kid. I think I started off as a centre forward.
Oh, really?
Believe it or not.
Everyone scored goals, don't they?
I mean,
I didn't know that, to be fair.
yeah, I scored 4 goals in 700 games. About one every 175. But goal scoring wasn't for me, but it's a good job as well. But yeah, then as you get older, you start dropping down, and the players get better, good goal scorers, and end up being a defender. And it's just something that I've always just enjoyed doing.
What is that feeling like? The first goal in front of a crowd. What is that feeling like?
My first goal, and I mean, bear in mind I've only got 4 to talk about, was Nottingham Forest at home. When I was at Palace. I was playing in midfield that day with Jeff Thomas, and we beat.
Who was the side then?
Forest 2-0. That side, we came. That was the year we played the FA Cup final in 1990, and we came 3rd in 1991, and we won. Do you remember that trophy, the ZDS trophy?
Yeah.
The SIMOD or whatever they used to call it.
Yeah.
I was born in 90.
Yeah.
So,
Was you really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
You wouldn't think it, would you?
Cheers for that.
So we was in that tournament in 91, and we won it. We beat Everton 4-1, and it was a trophy that no one really wanted to go in. But as you got through it, it's a final. I mean, Nottingham Forest won about 3 or 4 times, and I've always said good enough for Nottingham Forest. It was good enough for us. So we took that one, and we came 3rd that year with a team. It was John Humphrey, Andy Thorne, Eric Young, John Solarco, Ian Wright, Mark Bright, Jeff Thomas, Andy Gray, Eddie McGoldrick. Really good side. Glyn Hodges, I think, had come left side as well. So we had a really, really good side, and we came 3rd. And I mean, that's unheard of. Apart from Leicester winning the league that year, which was just incredible. I don't know any other team that's really got promoted and
as an underdog.
As an underdog, because I know we're talking about the Premier League now, and the big hitters now, your Liverpools, your Man Cities, they are huge clubs. But even back in the day, Liverpool weren't just the best team in the UK, they were the best team in Europe, they're probably one of the best teams in the world. Yeah. United was just starting to, so Alex was just starting to get that massive machine going. Leeds were very prevalent, so for us to finish 3rd on probably the budget we had, and that I think we played Nottingham Forest at home, I was playing midfield. I think when I scored, it was one of them ones, Matt, where you just like, you're on cloud 9. People say, you don't know what to do, you? No. And I was just running around everywhere, taking throw-ins, going short corners. I was probably losing my shape. I think Steve Cox probably pissed off at me, to be honest. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
How old was you?
Feeling. I was 20.
So like 20, 21.
Something like, yeah. And I was playing. I was in and out. I was sort of training with the first team. I was on first year scholar, more or less week in, week out. Steve done that. He introduced the young lads, the better young lads, shall we say, into a first year environment. And you just get smashed.
So what I was going to say, what was it like? Because you got your senior pros, hadn't you?
Well, Alan Irvine, and I saw Alan the other day. Alan Irvine, for those who don't know, was a right winger for Everton. Wonderful career up at Scotland, etc. And he's got a great coaching career. And I saw one, of course, the other day, funny enough. I said, do you remember we know each other, obviously, from Palace back in the day. And I was playing left back for the reserves, he'd be playing right wing for, and he just used to kick the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And it was just grow up time.
Well, that's the normal side
Yeah, it
of
was
football,
normal, wasn't
wasn't
it?
it?
Yeah. That wouldn't happen now.
No.
It's funny you should mention this, because me and you was talking about this the other day, in terms of like how the under-23s is kind of evolving the game at the moment.
It's a separation.
In terms of, we used to have the reserve football, and reserve football was men against boys sometimes, and that gave the boys a chance to grow up, didn't it, and play against...
Well, it's not even it's not even the growing up side of it, is it? It's like you're competing against pros.
Yeah.
People that are coming up from injury.
And it's not as though they're taking it down a level to play in there. They're still bringing their A game to play in the reserve.
I'm a huge fan of reserve football. I think 23s football sometimes is an extension of the youth team.
Yeah.
And
big
you
time,
end up stockpiling a lot of players to facilitate that age group. I like what Brentford have done. QPR starting to do it as a B team. Huddersfield do it as well, do it really well.
Yeah.
But my first recollections of playing football combination was when I was 17. I was a first year scholar. And I remember playing against Southampton at the Dell. We won 1-0, I think. And I was up against Joe Jordan.
Oh, right, okay.
Joe Jordan had played in the World Cups for Scotland. He'd been at Man United, Leeds.
Notorious hard man as well, isn't he?
Massively. He had no teeth, Matt. He had one of them ones.
No teeth, did he?
Yeah, and I was like a cocky little 17-year-old. And I think I got in front of him in challenge. I used to have this thing about anticipating, get a leg back. Anyway, I was on the floor and he stamped on my groin. Bang, blatantly stamped.
But did you know his reputation at the time?
Yeah.
Or was you not bothered?
I knew his reputation, but I just wanted to play.
17, you're not bothered.
Desperate to play the game.
But that's how you learn stuff, isn't it?
It's how you learn.
And anticipation, you're not going to be afraid to go in for that another chance. You know it's coming.
Absolutely.
And it didn't hurt last time, so it's not going to hurt next time.
But I just think sometimes as well, the young players don't watch football so much football now. There's so much football now, it's flooded. And there's so many distractions, whereas, having said that, I mean, I'm older than you guys, but we never had... Our access to watching football was the match of the day and the big match. There was no Sky back in the day. We didn't see everything on repeat, no YouTube. So we used to just glue. I'd be glued. I love 70s, 80s football, 90s football. I love that era. And I talked to my analyst now at Watford, and I said, do you know who Stan Bowles is? He was talking about Mavericks. He's never even heard of Stan Bowles.
No.
Come on, Matt.
He's in that era. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you never heard of Stan Bowles?
No, what did he play? What team?
QPR. No. I'm going to walk out in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk out.
I would.
I'm
Seriously.
joking. The thing is,
I mean, you will only just turned up.
But you watch football, but I just think if you want to learn back of football and see the great side, the great teams of like Derby County winning in '74, QPR should have won it in '76, and
They're not interested, are they?
the great Bayern Munich teams and Ajax teams.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's so easy sometimes. Like, I started watching football probably 2002, 2003 time. I got my first season pass at Hull City 2003, and that's when I really got looking at it. And I really enjoyed football. Like, I supported Hull City, wanted to go to every single game, wanted to do well. But I really enjoyed watching Arsenal around that time. You know, they showed me a different side of the game to what Hull City was showing me, and that kind of allowed me to look at all different angles of it. But in terms of doing research to then stuff that happened before that, I've never really done it. So I think we've spoke about this before, where they talk about their favourite Hull City player of all time. Billy Whitehouse is probably some people's favourite player, but I didn't watch him play, so I can't give an opinion on him.
And you know what, I get that though, Matt. I get that. I get this generation now. I mean, the best player I've ever seen is Diego Maradona. I know what he did more than that, but he carried that nation to a World Cup. He carried Napoli to a title. You know, he was incredible what he did. Now you've got access, obviously, to what Messi and Ronaldo are doing is just sensational. There's no bones about that. Level. But you know, just seeing them players back in the day, they're just fabulous players. And we just had the discussion before we went on. I think sometimes we lose sight of what's happened before 1992 in the Premier League, because the Premier League come in, and you would have had it with Hull City, where everything was when Phil Brown was in charge, everything just went bonkers, I'm guessing.
All I saw for the first X amount of years was just positive.
But that's the scary thing of your generation now, because we've hit the peaks of Premier League.
Thankfully,
you all think now, because we're in the Championship, it's not good enough.
You
played for Hull City in the division, whatever it was. I'm being a fan of 80s. Bulford Park, 3,000. You're expecting 20,000 every week now.
If you point at me, but a lot of people in the same.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But your era, innit? That's what I'm saying.
I'm very down to the ground on the fact that I just enjoy watching the game every week. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. I'm still going to overanalyse it, regardless.
I think the Premier League has done that to fans, and I think, by the way, I think football's nothing without fans. You saw that in lockdown. It's nothing without fans. But I think, take Stoke for instance, Tony Pulis comes middle of the table for 3, 4, 5 years. The fans don't like it. You need to get rid of him. We're sick and tired of this style of play. Get relegated. Look what they are now. So you have to be careful what you wish for. And I think sometimes you can become, I don't know what the word is, complacent with it. We want to do more. We want to push up. We want to do more.
You're just never happy. And that's, it's not so much a fan thing. I think it's just a modern era thing.
Yeah, you're probably right, Matt, to be fair.
No, but social media, you can have an opinion behind the screen, can't you? That's the difference.
Right.
That's
right.
right.
It's so easy to type to it and just like forget about that. I don't need to look at them.
How many people speak about the game that they've not even been to?
Oh, yeah.
They've just heard.
Well, I got that growing up, you know. Me and my dad always used to listen to the radio Umberside on the way home, listen to Benji and Swan. Someone would ring up, I've just listened to your commentary today, but I wasn't happy with this. What?
That's what I mean.
See it there. Oh, you're going off to someone else's perception.
I think my mates came to a game at Highfield Road once, and I wasn't even playing. Well, I wasn't even playing in the game. Right. And there was a guy about two seats down. You go, get his jaw off. He's shit. Get him off.
Oh, wow.
Right, my mate, this is the thing, perception. People just, if they've got something in, like, I don't want to be playing the game. And I was sitting 3 seats away.
It's an unconscious bias, isn't it? You've basically got a bad first impression of someone, and then you're just looking for the shit all the time, aren't you?
I do. Fans are brilliant, you know, and it's only
proper fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
When you're playing football, you get caught up in, as a for instance, like when we used to go to Anfield or Old Trafford or something like that, and the lads would go, we off to Saturday, my mates would go out for night out. I'm in Manchester Saturday, but I was more thinking about the night out back in London, what time we get back from Manchester, etc. Not the fact that we was going to Old Trafford. My mates were like, my God, you're playing, but we just took it for granted as such.
I was just about to say that Old Trafford to the likes of the football fan was like, oh wow, but to you, just a norm, innit?
It was just another game.
And it's only when we reflect afterwards you think you played at Anfield, Old Trafford.
Absolutely.
You don't appreciate it at the time.
No. But it's also what I didn't appreciate was as well, and I remember a mate of mine got tickets. David Thompson got a couple of tickets for Blackburn versus Celtic in the UEFA Cup, and I went up because I wanted to see Celtic fans. My mate drove me up. My God, he's driving through thousands and thousands of Celtic fans. You got in there. It's only you kind of think, because we've never seen that as players. We get in the coach, everything's done for us. Get on the coach, go to the ground, shepherd it off, shepherd it on. An hour later, you don't see the fans. You don't see their reactions. Now I'm on the other side of it as a coach, but as for instance as a West Ham supporter, I go to the ground. And I can hear the comments, and I'm starting to do it myself now as well.
You do, though. You get
don't you?
Massively attached to this way of this is what they say, rightly or wrongly. But you get so intrigued in it.
But we never see that as players.
No, you don't.
But we do care. I think sometimes when fans say don't care, I think players do care.
You do care.
Players do care.
Let me ask you this:
it's a bad thing as well.
As a coach and somebody who's played, what comes higher for you, result or performance?
That level's results. That level's results.
So you'd rather win ugly.
But at the under 23s level, if I was the under 23s level, it's got to be performances.
Yeah.
Because the performances then get you into the first team to get results.
See, I won't touch on that. But, I was going to talk about Hull City, but this isn't a Hull City podcast.
No.
So I'm
but having said that, Matt, if Hull City just went boom, 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 and was in the top 3 or 4 and got a chance to go out, you wouldn't mind that, would you?
See, this is where I look at. I enjoy watching a good performance more than a win, which is going to be really weird for people listening to this. But I do. I used to have this argument with a lot of people. Like I'd rather see everyone working hard for each other and see a good performance. You know, Hull City being a catalyst for this season, we've worked really hard, pretty much all our games. We just haven't got the ball in the back of the net, and that's been a difficult thing. And yet the fans are on the case because we're just not winning games. Yet hold on a sec, mate. We're doing everything apart from that last bit, which is putting the ball in the back of the net.
Which is now coming.
Yeah, which is now done a U-turn. You know, when we
I do think results mask performances.
Yeah.
If you get good, I mean, I've gone to.
You crack over it, don't you?
You do. At any first team level, whether you're non-league, whether you're Premier League, whether you're League One, League, it's all about results.
Yeah.
It's all about results. If you get
results
performance, if you get performances. I mean, if you're lucky enough to watch the great Liverpool side, United sides, the Man City side now, you look at. I mean, the great Arsenal teams that Wenger had. I mean, fantastic football. Must have been.
Do you know? I was going to ask you this anyway, but. In terms of Invincibles, then, how do you think they fare up in today's game? Where do you reckon? You put them in the Premier League this season. Where they're finishing, do you reckon? This is your view.
They'd match it easily.
I think they match it
easily.
Do you think?
100%.
Easily.
Well, you're talking about Dave Seaman. You're talking about Adams, is one of the best centre halves. Talking about Bold, same. 2 fullbacks, the same. Dixon, Winterburn.
And you know what shows you as well? They did that
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talking, a lot of organisation. That's a massive
Communication
part
is one
in
of the strongest
football.
things in the world, isn't it?
It's incredible. Adams used to drive. I mean, I remember standing in the tunnels at Coventry. Me and Willow, Paul Willis, we just like laughing. Where Highbury is, it's like concrete, like as you come down the tunnel.
Yeah.
It's really thing. People will see that where Roy Keane had that flare up with Vieira.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there waiting. What Arsenal used to do, they always used to make you wait, and then they come down. You could hear back in the day, it wasn't always moulded, it was studs, bang, bang, bang. You could hear them coming down.
Yeah.
You like that. You look around, you're like, Jesus Christ. And then Adams comes down 6'4", Seaman 6'4", Vieira 6'4", Petit 6'4",
Big, massive
Bergkamp
salary,
6'3", Henry 6'3". People have got no idea how big and how good.
Yeah.
I mean, the smallest one was Overmars at 5'8", 5'9", and he was the quickest guy in Europe.
Just look smaller than you.
Yeah, just a bit smaller. Yeah.
But very tricky
Yeah.
and probably one of the hardest
Very quick
to deal with.
They would, in my opinion, 100%, they would compete. They would compete.
Yeah, I'd go with that as well, 100%. What's your best area of football then? I think the 90s. Late 90s, I genuinely do.
The two best teams I've played against, and I've said this, was the United team of '94, where it was Schmeichel, it was Parker, it was Pallister, it was
players,
it was Steve Bruce, Dennis Irwin. I mean, Dennis Irwin's Chris.
Steve Bruce not getting a call.
Steve Bruce.
What is that all about?
Yeah, that was incredible. You got Instant Keane, you got Gizken Chelsea, you got Cantona, you got Hughes, and you got all sorts coming on as well, Sharp and everything like that. I mean, they were just sensational. That was some team.
It's stuff like I'd love to have been able to see that. I kind of wish I was born 10 years younger so I could watch.
I played about 200 games before you.
I was going to say, honestly, it's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
First half, tell us about the good side, your perception of the good side of football, whether it be when you first started or where we're at now.
Shows you, I want you to take me back to your Palace days, I do. Just
Because
tell me how good was that, you know, getting involved with not just the first team, but just the football club in general, to be fair.
Yeah, so with my start up with Palace was, I mean, back in the day we could go and play at different clubs. It's not like now we sign the academies. So I was spending, say, Monday at Southampton, Tuesday at Chelsea, Wednesday at Palace, Thursday at Wimbledon. And we had that flavour, we could just go to different clubs and that. So, I mean, the one at Southampton was decent. When it's under 16s, I played a couple of games. I mean, they had Letizia, Shearer, Madison, the Wallace boys. I mean, like you said, you talk about what people are doing with youth players now. Let's not forget, there was, like I said, we discussed, there was football before 1992, and they were excellent. And then I ended up choosing Palace. I come from a one-parent family. They used to send down a car for me to train up at Mitcham, and it was a real good environment. The coach at the time was a guy called Alan Smith, and he's I still take touch with him nowadays. I went out for dinner with him a couple of months ago. I still call him Dad now, so I grew up as a one-parent family, so I still call him my father. Massive influence on me.
Quality.
And I think you can do that as a youth coach with young players. You can really start to shape their life. So yeah, that was massively good experience for me. Difficult times because so just before, you know, I left college and I went straight into apprenticeship, but I was doing like a cleaning role because we never had no money. You know, it was me and my mum and brother. Yeah. We never had no money, so I was get up at 3:30.
Jeez.
Every day. This is for 2 years, 3:30, and my day would start at 4 o'clock.
Well, how old
4
was
till
you,
6, 16, 17.
Wow.
6, 17. And
Bloody
so I worked from
Don't know
4
we're
in the
born, do
morning.
we? We don't know we're born.
Yeah, 4 in the morning till 6 in the morning. Then from 6 o'clock, I used to get the train up to London, to Palace. Done that for 2 years. So we had to do it. Sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do. And then when young boys now, and we talk about lateness, I got fucking jammed. But when young boys come out with all these excuses, I just won't tolerate it.
But you're stuck in traffic as well.
Yeah, stuck in traffic is a mad one, yeah. But they get the trains and they
No, I get it.
they haven't got an understanding of the sacrifices you have to make. That was my sacrifice of 2 years. So for instance, we were playing in football combination like we talked about earlier. Yeah. We were playing against Tottenham. I'd get back about 1 o'clock in the morning, get the milk train home, bunk the train, jump over the fences, whatever it is. Wouldn't advocate that, by the way, but that's what you had to do. Get back to Woking. I had about 45 minutes to an hour walk because I couldn't afford taxis. So these are things that you have to sacrifice. And then I'll have 2 hours sleep, and then straight up at 3, straight into the clean job at 4, and then go to be an apprenticeship, and then do that. Right. So that's
tough.
It
man.
was
That is proper.
It was brilliant because it made me the person I am.
And is that the Monday to Friday then? Is that all?
Yeah, absolutely, Monday to Friday. Yeah. Jeez. So having a weekend off was great, but Saturday games.
And if you say that to say somebody who's in one of the youth levels
Don't
now,
believe you.
will you do this?
No,
If you ask them for the next 2 years,
you.
you need to do this, but we'll give you this career to match what you had. How many do you reckon it'd go?
None.
No, it's not for me. That.
Don't do it.
Or they probably got and got.
Not even a month. Not even a month. They won't even last a week.
Can't do that. I need 3 hours sleep. You know
So
what I mean?
that literally
No, sorry,
just
more than 3 hours.
that literally just shaped me for my career.
It gives you a level of discipline. It gives you. You've obviously got from a young age then hard work. Hard work.
Yeah.
This isn't easy. There's no quick route. Don't you know, sometimes some people that have got phenomenal talent might get that quick route, but in terms of if you want to work hard to get there, there's no quick route.
I don't think there is no quick fix. Whatever industry you do, you've got to work.
Yeah.
You've got to work at it.
So going into the first team, then when was the first time you trained with him, and did you have a little sniff beforehand?
Yeah, so me and John Slarko, for instance, we used to go. I think we went to Sweden on a pre-season tour. We were first year scholars, and we used to train out there quite a bit. Steve Coppell was good like that because every Monday he'd get the scholars in with the first team. They play like 8v8 on 2 different pitches. So at the same time, he was having a look at us as kids as well. And then we went to Sweden a couple of times and done really well there. And then you just start being in and around the first team.
Was you a centre half then?
Yeah. I was. I dipped in and out. To be fair, Scotty, centre half to right back to left back. But I much prefer centre half. And then you get to start to know the first team players as well, and then they start to have a rapport.
Respect you though as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, they respect us.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go with we used to have some real senior characters at the time. Glyn Hodges, Gary Thompson, Mark Dennis, Andy Fawn, Wally Downs. They would one afternoon they said, "What are you doing, Shoz? What are you doing something now?" I goes, "Going over." He goes, "No, come with us." So went to a place in Mitcham, went to some pub in Mitcham, or what was I must have been 18, something like 18, something like that. And they said, "Well, you sit there, we sit there." And they was a big round table, and they just had the bookies next door. And they said, "Well, you go over there, shut up. We want you, and we click our fingers, call you over, betting slips, blah blah. Go next door, put the bets on, blah blah." And it was fantastic for me. It was great for me because I was getting to know the players. And
You felt a part of it, didn't you?
Felt a part of it.
Yeah.
And then like end of the night, bang bang bang, 2020, all give me £100, 4 weeks wages.
Yeah.
So I thought this is great. I think we've done it another time, and towards the end, I was starting to go, "Thorny, what are we doing? What are we doing this week? What are we doing this afternoon?"
Brilliant.
And because I kept my mouth shut, because like nothing never came out of that, they trusted me, and then that takes that trust into the first team. And that first team...
Well, that gives you more confidence training with them, doesn't it? Because you know the bit about them as well.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So on the flip side of that then, obviously you obviously got welcome in it, but is there any sort of like initiations for a youngster coming up to a...
No.
Not back then, I don't think it was
No.
it?
Not.
Them
Or
days...
pranks, maybe you fell victim to a couple of pranks?
We never done initiations. We had when we used to go away on tour, as if, for instance, the lads used to just turn people's rooms over, etc. And I know who that was. It was Andy Gray. Andy Gray. I can't remember what it was now. But I remember going to Italy and pre-season, and me and John Slarko, our room had been done over along them lines. We was only kids, and Andy Gray had his toothpaste. He tried to put Zorro. Remember Zorro with the thing there? So no one knew who he was. And the toothpaste, so after the toothpaste fell down, it ended up being 2020. So he was known as the 2020 gang.
Brilliant.
So he was going around just doing everyone's room. And then one day he come into me, he turned me, it's like, I remember coming in the room and goes, "Right, you two have got a job for you." I was like, "Wow, got Gary Thompson, John Humphrey, I've got the key." He was like, "Oh yeah, go on, we'll have a go at that." And so we've gone in the room and basically picking the TV up, walking out the room with anything like that. All of a sudden, them two are standing. Gary Thompson was a big man, by the way, Nottingham Forest, big black guy at West Brom Palace, fearsome. Yeah. And it's the first time I cracked myself, to be fair, because I had his TV, I was just about to put it in the bath and things like that, and he's just standing at me. And Andy Gray basically just set us up for a fall. And basically, we spent the next 3 days waiting on all the senior players because
consequences.
The consequence of that was that. Yeah. But I mean, the trips.
But that builds a camaraderie, doesn't it?
But that's good at 17 shows, isn't it?
Definitely, 17, 18.
Mate, that's you must go on bouncing. You know
it's incredible.
The first teamers love me, blah blah
blah.
But
and you're in and around there.
And it's fitting in easy, doesn't it? Like playing on the weekend with those players.
So at that point then, have you made a proper first team appearance at that point?
I made my debut I played in friendlies and things like that. I think I made my debut at 18 or 19, I think it was.
Right.
Away at Reading. We won 3-2 at Elm Park, the old Reading.
Did you start that or come on?
I come on a sub. I think the days were 3 subs.
Yeah.
I remember, but before that, back in the late 80s, there's 1 sub, and I think I was 1 sub for a couple of times, but never came on.
That's good.
But yeah, 3 subs coming against Elm Park, and then. But at that time, I was sort of in and out Steve Coppell was good like that. He'd fit you in and out, and you can understand when you was getting a bit tired or whatever, and he should pull you out and then back in again. But we never had no. We were just thrown in, and I think that's
the best thing.
That's how you learn.
That's the best thing I think.
Sink or swim. It's a phrase people use, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So I had a great start, shall we say, my career with the youth team, going into playing the football combination and going to play first team football, and have an understanding with the lads that were there, and just that camaraderie with them. I mean, when I got in full time at left back, and this is where the thing where I think football. Don't get me wrong, I think football's brilliant now. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It really has. It's moved on. 100%. It's great. But let's not take away. Sometimes you can simplify it. Quite a lot of it.
I agree.
You know, we had a back four. We just talked about 1991 earlier, Matt. About 1991, we came third in the league, and every Thursday, Wally Downs would take the back four, which was me, John Humphrey, Andy Thorne, and Eric Young, and we were
back fours.
and we probably have one of the best.
What a back four.
Best defensive records in the league, and we done it by Wally Downs. His mindset used to where Mitcham was with his woods behind it, and I don't know if Steve Coppell probably knew, but we used to go running into these woods. That was our thing, and also we go into the woods. We're like, what are we doing here? And all of a sudden there'd be an old sofa in the woods, a couple of old chairs where someone just dumped it. And Wally Downs goes, "Ever sit down." We're like, sit down. And all of a sudden he pull out a bottle of brandy from behind the sofa. We're like, what's going on here? What a brandy! It's 4 paper cups, and he'd have 4 Twixes or 4 Kit Kats. And then he'd give us all a Kit Kat, a nip of brandy. This is our training session. Steve Coppell, no one else knows, just about 4 away.
That's quality.
And he pulled out his piece of paper, blah, blah, blah. Right, this is who we got Liverpool on Saturday, Rush, Beardsley, Barnes, Houghton. This is what they do, this is their movements, this is how we expect them to play. And every single game we had notes. Like we've got analysts now, but we had notes. Like, Sheffield United, we've got Brian Dean, Adrian Littlejohn, big man, little man. This is what he does, what he does. Go on in, well, I'll have another one, mate. On a Thursday, and then we'd sit there for about 45 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes talking about the game, having that camaraderie about the game. I mean, now I know they sit in an analysis room now, and I don't say it's right what we do.
Cinemas when you watch it, like when you look into the background.
Yeah, but it was just still that compact, that togetherness.
Yes.
But on a Saturday, we were proper together.
But everyone's got a say in it as well, haven't they? Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Everyone's got that input.
What's it like the first time you did that then? You think, this is it.
Well, I was, I thought it was a trick. I thought it was a trick.
I'm not drinking the brandy, I'm not having that Twix.
Andy Thorne, I think, and Wally Downs was a great defensive coach, brilliant defensive coach. And that's how we learn. And now I'm not saying that the game now, like I said, I love the game now. I'm not saying I like it at times, but I love it. But little things like that, sometimes you have to go into the abnormal at times. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You haven't just got to do straight. No. Sometimes you just got to throw some
and that's really
different
simple and basic. It's so easy to do, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Look
Off
at
the cuff stuff as well.
The graphs and stuff like that. You don't need that all the time. You could literally do this where you go back to basics. And
the thing is, go for a beer. Go for a beer together.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
the best.
And I'd say
best
as a
part
football
of
fan, if you do the basics to a really high level, you're not going to be far off.
You're not going to be far off. No. And like Scotty just said there, it's a real togetherness. It gives you points. I mean, when we won a cup final, we lost it, unfortunately, United in 1990. But every time we won a round, Steve Coppell would take us to Gran Canaria. I think it was Gran Canaria or Tenerife for 3 or 4 days.
That's brilliant.
That was our motivation after the cup final. Thinking after the every cup.
Can we get to another Tenerife session?
And our draw was, I think, 3rd round we had Huddersfield win.
Yeah.
I think 4th round we had Portsmouth win. 5th round, what's that?
Where were they then in the 2 years?
We was Premier League.
So where was Huddersfield?
Huddersfield was
way down.
League One.
Oh, right, so
yeah.
And then I think quarterfinals we had Cambridge. So we had the best draw. The
worst
draw we had was Liverpool in the semis, and they beat us 9-0 before.
God, I can remember that.
Before.
Was you a part of that?
Yeah, I was on the bench.
Oh, God for that.
Bench.
To bring you on.
Jeez, I can remember that one.
Do you know what? I was desperate to play at Anfield because, like I said, I watched all the stuff in the 70s, and I look at Anfield, it's just iconic. Shankly, Paisley, all the people that played there. And so I was on the bench. I think it got to 2 or 3, and I was warming up. You know, you just run in front of the manager thinking, I've got to get on here, trying to impress him. And it got to 4 or 5. I just...
Do people do that?
Yeah.
I didn't know if maybe you just get told to go. Obviously, I don't play this. I've played it probably, if there was a tier 15, I've played at that level. Do you know what I mean? Because that's how far down I am. But I always thought like maybe they just go, just keep yourself warm, mate. And that's when you set off. But not like you going, I'll just do my best.
No, I'm going to jump out. When it got 2 or 3, I think, I want to get on here. I definitely want to get on here. So, and we never won it 9-0, and I'll never forget one of the funniest things. I think it was about 7-0 at the time, something like that. We had a penalty. and Jeff Thomas took it and he blasted it over the bar. I think Gary O'Reilly's run from about 50 yards from the halfway line and just tapped him on his arse and like, never mind Jeff, keep you with that. I think we're 7-0 down. We're 7-0 down. And then Monty Whelan turned around at Jeff Thomas at one stage. He was just brilliant, and you know, and he turned to Jeff Thomas and said, "Do you like training with a ball?" And he was just taking the piss out of all
just
of us.
That little nibble that you need.
They were so good, and you know, you sit in the change of masters. You got beat 9-0. You're like,
what can you
it's
say?
not fluke, is it? You don't get fluked 9-0.
That's where Steve Coppell was so good, because he just drew a line under it. Right, it's happened. I mean, it's happened before several times. I mean, Liverpool were doing that to everyone in that era, not quite as much as 9. I mean, 9-0 should never happen.
Never. How old was you at that time? And how many games did you had under your
20, about 20 I think it was.
And regular at that point? Or?
No, it was just before, I think I went just before my loan at, it was that season. I think my loan to Hull City, before, just after that or something like that, and then came back and played against Liverpool and then played against them in the final. So it was that year.
Yeah.
It was that year. But it's I think sometimes in football you've got to see adversity and deal with adversity. Football's not going to be like that. Football's like up, down, up, down.
Good, bad, ugly.
You never, it's not.
Yeah, I'd like to think if you fought in the game, you're going like, you think it's going to be like that. Somewhere along the line, you won't be coached correctly because
of course you are.
Everywhere.
The top players have dips. The top players have dips. So yeah, that was a real good start intro to my career, and just like I said, growing up neighbour. Would I like to grow up in this era? Probably not. I enjoyed doing what I did. We all went out as young players always did, and
I think some things are easier and some things are harder. Like in terms of the troubles you had in terms of getting to the training ground, I don't think that'd be a problem nowadays.
But you know the scary thing is, this era would like our era. Our era would just don't like that era. So there's a flip side to that. They'd love to go back in the 90s, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's a massive.
But then they don't see.
No.
They don't see that, do they?
We're dinosaurs to them.
Yeah.
At the minute. Oh, that can't have happened. It did happen, and it was brilliant.
It's like you tell the kids now. Do you want to be any Chris parties? You going out, lads? No one's doing anything.
Yeah, oh really?
You get 6 and then probably 8 pull out.
They're going for a FIFA tournament at the next chance.
That's what it is. I said to, I remember saying to the Palace boys, I think 23s at Palace, I think they'd been fined or something. I can't remember. I never said be a massive fine. I used to take their time away rather than that. But I think that we gave them some fine money or something money to go and book a restaurant in London or whatever, and everyone's got to go and have a few drinks and have a bite to eat and have some camaraderie. They didn't do it. Instead, someone just divvied the money up and put like £30 in each peg. Wow. And they just took that £30 or whatever it was, I can't remember what it was now, and just went their own separate ways. You're like,
a lot of people do say the Premier League football started in 1992. That's what people
believe. You've been through like a completely different generation to us, and we look at it, that can't be right. You know, until we then go, I'll Google it. And that's what we've got in our hand.
Well, that's what people always do now. Google, it's just a massive thing now, isn't it? Google. It does amazing.
Changed the world, hasn't it?
Oh no.
So obviously from Palace then, when did you start getting a little bit of interest from other clubs?
My first one, Scott, was I remember being at a first team game, and we had Stan Turner, who was our assistant manager at the time, Stan. And I got on really well with Stan because I was a young lad at the time and
confident lad.
We had to confident.
That's what I'm saying. But you have to be. I think you know a lot of people will just. If you go in your shell and you can't take a big, it was big bollocking back then,
massively,
not so much now, but if you didn't take that, it doesn't matter how talented you was, you're back of the queue.
100%.
Back of the queue.
Stan would click you round the ear. Yeah. If you never bring the balls out, the balls weren't clean, anything like that. Stan would just literally click round the ear. And he'd be looking for a character. And I still think that now. I listened to, I think it was Alex Inglethorpe at Liverpool talking about it. So when you go into the 18s, it's all about football, blah, blah, blah. But 18s to 21s all about character. Can you handle now the pressure of playing at a high level? And I think in his own way, that's what Stan was doing. That's what Stan was doing with us. You know, we had a group. Obviously myself, John Slarko, I think Chris Coleman had just come in as well, Gav Southgate, Simon Osborne, we had a really good youth team. And I think everyone, I mean, I've seen interviews from Gareth. He said the same thing. I saw John Terry doing an interview, Alan Shearer. That era was a real character building era. Can you survive it?
It was half and half, wasn't it? If you've got talent, 50% brilliant, but if you've got the character to go with it, you're in.
We had to knock on the doors. We had to knock on the doors to go into the first team dressing room. I remember just going in there once, guy, I think Mickey Draw said, sure, where's my effing kit, blah, blah. And I went, oh, sorry, Mick. And I've got a clip recording in Mick. And I've got a clip for like not even knocking on the door. So I've got 2 clips in the space of seconds.
Yeah. I went down in the Coventry one. I went in there. You was in there, actually. It was.
Did I help you out?
you was all right, to be fair. You was one of the better ones. But Paul Williams was horrible to me. But it was just daunting. You know what I mean? I was picking up a towel, but it was just like the longest travel of picking up a towel ever. Because you was sound, like you said, Boost is always sound. Willow was horrible at one point.
Yeah, Willow used to test you.
He was brutal, I wanted.
He used to test you.
Absolutely brutal. Yeah. But it was so daunting. But I crumbled at that point. I'm picking up a towel. That's it.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
It's so much that you're not just picking up a towel, there's so much more to it, isn't it? Everyone's going to
You
analyse.
did, like shows you said, you'd knock on the first team door. That's a part of respect.
Yeah. You wouldn't walk past the first team. Like the first team were having like a Palace. We had a shit of a training ground at the time. But you're walking around a table with big hitters on there who have played 600 games. And if you walk past them before 9 o'clock, they would look at you and think, what are you doing here at 9 o'clock? You've got jobs to do. And they will literally bury you verbally. Really? Absolutely bury you. So you literally walk on eggshells every single day.
There's no reason to pick it.
And we had to do the boots, which was, I think, is a brilliant discipline. Did you do them, Scott? Did you do boots?
You know what I did? Ron Atkinson's car, cleaned his car.
How many was it weekly or what?
You know what? He was unbelievable with me. He was like, Scotty, listen, come. He had the dogs, didn't he?
Yeah.
He walked them around the Brighton Dunsborough thingy. He goes, I'll do you. Come on, get back in. I got away with murder, mate. Murder.
Did he pay you? Did he get paid for that?
Yeah, he used to bug me all the time.
Did he?
Honestly,
he was good, Ron. I like Ron.
So in terms of the boots, then, do you get like a gift to the full team or to a set number?
I remember doing 4 pairs. I remember doing 4. I had 4 players back in the day with big squads and that. I remember I had Steve Copples, Ian Evans, which was manager, assistant manager. Gary Stebbins, which was a young pro.
That's a big one, isn't it? The manager and assistant.
Yeah, well,
all the best with the gaffers.
Absolutely.
Jesus.
I mean, and then I had, I think it was Andy Gray, 74 player.
Brilliant.
Andy was a good lad, to be fair. He used to give me boots and. Back in the day in the 80s with shell suits, wasn't it? He used to give me shell suits. And I'd be walking around there on Saturday night. Saturday night, he called him a shell suit. Like, bit of the old soul glow here and everything like that. But yeah, so we was all right. The senior players were good with us, to be fair, Matt. So, like, if we crossed the goal, for instance, like John Slarko would cross for Ian Wright to score. Ian Wright would come and bring a couple of shirts in on a Monday morning and say, right, there you go, lads. Saturday night, Slarko would think he looked nuts of them, but he looked terrible, to be fair. But the first team players, I've got to say, they looked after us. And I've always taken that on board, to be honest, because when I went to Coventry, with the youngsters coming through, like Scotty, like John Eustace, Chris Kirkland, I always made sure, like when Eustace came to the first team, he was looked after.
So it's a case of this is how it made you feel.
Absolutely.
Pass that on to the next generation.
Because if you make a young player feel welcome, you'll get the best out of them.
100%.
If you continue,
if someone's happy to do whatever they're doing at the best they're really.
Yeah.
The more you're relaxed, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Take it into any walk of life. I work in sales, and if I'm happy to do the best sales pitch I've got. Whereas if I'm not happy, I'm probably going to be a little bit drawn. Body language slumped, and I'm not going to get the sale. However, in any walk of life, if you're happy, you're probably going to do what you do.
100%.
The only difference between our life and your life is it was more brutal.
Yeah.
You couldn't be brutal back then, really, because you get sacked. This is a different brutality of what they call banter back in the day.
Yeah, you couldn't. Really, I mean, you can't say now what was said. The world's changed.
Yeah, massively.
The world's changed. You know, and
I've seen it myself, and I'm like I say, you guys got years on this. So.
There's some good bits. There's some good bits, I have to say, but I enjoyed it. And like I said, Stan Turner was great with me, and I've always gravitated to people that have had the discipline, which is why, I worked well under Strax. That's why I worked well under Stan Turner when we were at Hull City. Steve Coppell was different in his own way. He's more methodical. He talk.
Did he get involved in training? Cops?
Yeah.
I bet how good was he, by the way?
Oh my God, he was just. I mean, he obviously played for England. God knows how many times. Man United, Strachan was the same.
Unbelievable.
Strachan used to really pee me off in a way because he was so good.
And he was the
coach,
assistant to him.
Yeah.
He still could do it. Premier League.
Join him with the training.
Oh, mate.
We done a pre-season 1 year. He was at the front of everything. He was like 42.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We was begging him. We was begging him to play games because he was just so good.
That good.
He was that good. It was incredible. But yeah, the thing.
That's obviously like the good side for yourself. Then.
No, but 1 sec. So going back then. So how old was you before people started to get that little bit of highlight and a possible chance of a move? And
yeah, I was about 19, 20, I think, and I remember winning some award. I think it was they were doing at the time. Some young player of the region or something like. We played Aston Villa,
right?
And Tony Daly was playing for them at the wing, and he was a whippet, absolutely. Yeah. And done really well against them because I was quick
Yeah.
when I was younger. And I won this regional award, and I think it was presented by the England manager at the time, something along them lines. And that's when you start thinking about, I want to play in the first team here, and
Yeah.
you try and push it and that. But I think the next thing after that, Scott, was the loan side,
Yeah.
which was really, really important for me, massively important for me. And it was just come after the first team game, the manager, someone said, "Oh, stand and turn it now, move to Hull as a manager." And he said, "Stan Turner wants you for a month up at Hull." And I just said, "Look, do you mind if I just go away and just get some advice?" And I spoke to all the senior players. And they said, "Go."
Yeah.
Because normally you get a loan from the Premier League down to League One, League Two, but Hull win the Championship, which is the Championship now. And so I decided to do it. It was the best thing for me that I ever did.
Why is that? What changed?
Because it made me grow up. It made me grow up.
You can get thrown in, don't you?
Yeah, it made you grow up.
So home comforts.
Yeah, and you was wanted. First and foremost, you were wanted,
Yeah.
which was a massive lift.
Big time, yeah.
Secondly, you're not, because at Palace, any club, when you're a young guy, you get taken for granted. I don't care what you do.
100%,
You do.
yeah.
Oh, he'll fill in left back, he'll fill in right back, whatever it is. We'll give him whatever it is a week, and this, and they will take it. But when you actually wanted it, it makes such a difference. And then I had to grow up, and then like Stan saying to me, right, get yourself up to Hull. When am I going to do that? He's like, get in your car and drive up. So
brilliant.
So I went, drive up. He went, yeah, drive up.
This is brilliant.
So I went, where's Hull? Like, one of them ones, right? So I got A to Z. The magazine was like that big, A to Z. So I put it on that seat there. I had an XR2, right? XR2.
Go on, what's next?
My God.
What?
It was my pride and
way.
joy.
You've got to Google XR2s.
we
You've got
doing
an XR3i, an XR2.
Oh, Fiesta, right?
Right, Fiesta XR2, and it was my pride and joy. I cleaned it every single week. So I drove up there. It took about 7 hours, right? It took about 7 or 8 hours. No sat navs, no phones, nothing
A
like
to
that.
Z.
No
Did
phone.
well, didn't
A to Z. Shit, I've taken the wrong turn here. I think I should have turned right at Yorkshire. So I'm out there, and then I arrived. God knows what time I arrived. I literally had to get myself shoehorned out of the seat. I walked into Stan's office, and it was about 10 o'clock, something like that, and he had Mel Machin sitting with him. And Mel Machin was manager at Manchester City. Obviously not the Manchester City that they are now, but still a massive club. So I knew who was sitting there. So I walked in, he's like, Stan's basically like, hello, where you been? He's like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Dan, I don't know where I'm going or what I'm doing. Like, so I sat down, walked in, sat down. He was always giving me Stan. And he's just gone, brandy? I went, what? The brandy? Yeah, if you have one. Well, I was only a kid.
Again, another brandy.
Again, another brandy, yeah. So him and Mel Machin are having a brandy, and I've done a little sip of brandy, thinking, oh, is he testing me here? What's he doing? And then he's going, well, this is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to play. We're playing three at the back, yourself, Richard Jobson, Steve Terry. I can't remember the fullbacks were, but I couldn't remember too many of the team. So I said, right, okay, fine for you. So we was having a chat and all that. So I said, right, where am I staying? He went, I don't know.
So, wow.
What do you mean? Where am I staying?
It's not set up.
Don't know, he's not set up, no. So not now. So now everything's done, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he literally...
This is what you're saying, everything's done for you,
Yeah,
isn't it?
literally.
Yeah,
I
everything.
literally walked outside to a red phone box, and then even in a phone box, you've got these massive, great books, haven't you? Phone box, you used to pull it out. Like in London, remember London? Pull it out, like that, you're like that. Bed sits. So I got myself a bed sit.
You wouldn't have a clue about that, by the way.
And I was
It's a
there
COVID
for...
nightmare, that, by the way.
My God, everything now's on a mobile phone, isn't it? So literally, I remember finding this bed sit. I stayed there for a good few weeks, and I went back and forth, and then it was just fantastic in terms of education of looking after
Just
yourself.
in the world isn't easy. I need to step up here. Is that what you came across?
Yeah, I need to step up. And then I'll go in next day, and basically all the floor, we used to meet at the stadium, Boothby Park, and all the kit, basically, the kit man would just come and he'd just lump it all on the floor. It was on the floor, so you just go in there and pick up your kit. But I looked over and I thought, there was a kit that folded unbelievably well. It was like ironed, folded the whole thing. And I didn't realise it was Billy's. I'm like, who kit's that? And he's like, Billy Whitehurst. I didn't know Billy Whitehurst
Who's
at the
he?
time.
Yeah.
So, and I was thinking, why has no one not touched it? Because normally you just go in there and just nick someone's kit. Well, when he walks in, you know why no one touches it. He ran the change room. It was incredible. And then we used to play in these five sides. I think Boothby Park had it might be wooden floor or something like that inside area.
Yeah, they did.
And Billy would just be smashing players off of walls and things like that. I have to stay. But I've got to say, he was brilliant for me at Hull. He was great because he kind of looked after me during the games and away from the games and bits and bobs and that. So for me, that 4 to 5 weeks being up there training with them, playing the games. Was 4 games unbeaten. We was due to have West Ham the following week, and I got called back to Palace, and we played Liverpool that day, and I played against Liverpool and ended up keeping my place in the team from January onwards all the way through for cup final.
What about Billy and his night out? What game was it where you said where are you going tonight, Shawsey?
Yeah, Billy was like, I think he was with Ian Esford, the goalkeeper.
Ian Esford, yeah.
They was going out one night, and he said, Little Boy Shaw. He's called Little Boy Shaw.
Little Boy Shaw.
What are you doing tonight? And I went, I'm going home, Bill. Because I just started dating my girlfriend, whatever. I said, I'm going home, Bill. I said to my girlfriend. I've got 8 hours drive home anyway. We had Sunderland, beat Sunderland. He goes, no. Where you going tonight? I went, no, Billy, I'm driving back down to London. I've got to see my girlfriend. We're going to go ask you one more time. We're doing it tonight. I went, I'm coming out of you, Bill. So I had to find a phone box. I was like, my wife now, Paula, I said, look, I can't make it today. Like, we're in tomorrow, something like that. But I was on a night out with Billy.
The thing is, you couldn't get caught out back then, though, could you?
Nah.
There's no pictures going on Facebook back then.
Nah, he was.
It's just the fact that Billy, you're going out.
He was different.
You've got
class.
no.
Rethink your strategy. We're going out, mate.
That's it.
He was brilliant. We played Sunderland. I was saying, Scott, we played Sunderland at home. Never forget, we won 3-2. And I know they had Eric Gates. I can't remember who the other centre forward was. And they were smashing me around because I was a young kid. Blah, 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 blah. And I think I had a bloody nose. Billy's come down. Billy was brilliant like that with me. He was brilliant. And he came down, there was a lull in play. And he's come down, I think someone been injured. Fridge come on, he goes, Little Boy Shaw, he goes, you all right? Everything all right? You can see my nose. He's like, bloody hell. He goes, no, he done it, blah, blah. And he called the 2 centre forwards of Thunder to him. He goes, oi, come here. Yeah, he walked over to him, he goes, got a young lad here from London, find his way in the game. Look after him. And what that meant was stay away from me. I was playing like Baresi with about 20 minutes to go. No one ever touched me. No one touched me, nothing like that.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Mate, everyone was scared of Billy. Everyone was scared of Billy.
Absolutely.
But do you know what? And I was saying to Scott the other day in the car, he was a fantastic footballer. First touch was brilliant. I mean, he's had some great clubs, Sunderland, Newcastle, obviously Hull. He's been around, you know.
He's just known for being an hard man, hasn't he?
Yeah.
That football side just goes way out the window.
But Mick Harford was like that as well,
yeah,
wasn't he?
God, yeah.
Mick Harford was used to, everyone said, oh, Mick Harford, just a hard man. Mick Harford was a talent.
Player.
Played for England. Yeah, brilliant player. So, yeah, that month basically set me up.
So when you went back to Palace then, big chest out, that's it?
Yeah.
I've had a taste of it, even more so, a bit more rougher.
Very much so, yeah. And then I stayed in there, Scott. I stayed in the team for the cup final. It's funny because the week before the cup final, we had Man City at home, and I was left out the team. And I was like, oh no. Yeah. I was a massive panic up. And then Steve Coppell just pulled me over and said, no, you're playing in the cup final. I've got a job for you in the cup final, so don't worry. And that was.
So even still, if you're important enough for someone to drop you, to say you definitely want you to play in the final regardless, I'm dropping you this game.
Yeah.
How good was that build-up, by the way?
On my own mind, I was like, oh my God. So I wasn't just dropped. I wasn't even on the bench. I was just in the stand.
That comes down to the level of his management, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. So we were playing 3 in midfield in the cup final, and I was going to be one of the 3. So we went man for man against United. So Jeff Thomas was on Brian Robson, I was on Neil Webb, Andy Gray was on, I can't remember, Mickey Feely might have been, something like that. I had a good one, Neil Webb, because Neil Webb didn't move. So me and Neil Webb were just basically in the centre circle having a chat and things like that. But we play 3 in midfield. So all of that thing now, Man City playing 3 in midfield, people weren't playing 3 in midfield back then. You know, so it was. So
how good was that build-up then for the FA Cup final?
Oh, the build-up was incredible. We done. It's funny because I've got 3 daughters, and my daughters was on YouTube the other day, and they was looking at me. There was this, you know, like the One Show now.
Yeah.
So back then it was a guy called Derek Jameson. It was called the Jameson Show. We went there live to sing "Glad All Over" in our high-tech.
And what a song that was, by the way.
Yeah. So we was all there singing it. You can see it on YouTube now.
Brilliant.
Whatever it is, and my daughters, they're actually quite shocked. That's me.
Isn't that like going on there and singing that? It's got to be the same level as like the Liverpool white suits, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But you know what, the build-up to the FA Cup was special then.
But you know the thing is,
it's a massive thing.
that's what I'm saying. Now the FA Cup's so disrespected. They're
is.
kicking off at 5:30, 7 o'clock, Friday night, Sunday, whatever it is. The FA Cup final should be. This is what I don't understand.
The highlight.
It's got lost along the way somewhere.
I look at a team that I follow, West Ham, and I look at Everton, I look at Newcastle. I look at the teams that are not going to be in the top 4. They're not going to get relegated. They're not. Go for the cup, because the fans would love that.
Of course they do.
The fans even now, Palace, and I'm sure Coventry in '87, Palace at '90, they all still talking about that day, and yet people now just disregard it so much. I've seen people playing weakened teams in round 5 and round 6, and
Yeah.
I just think, why would you not
You're
go
within
for that?
touching distance, aren't you? You're within touching distance of getting to the final.
Well, you've got a great opportunity regardless, haven't you?
Yeah. And then they play. My thing is, like, when you're a player, so for instance, what would you rather have? Like, say in 10, 20 years, in talking to your kids or grandchildren, I can turn around to my kids now and say, look, I played. Not that they care, because I've got 3 girls, they haven't got a clue.
Not
But I can say, I played in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
You know, I was in an England squad. I was whatever it was, blah blah. But I wouldn't want to go. Do you know what? I come in the top 4 that year. Why would you not want?
It's not as memorable. Is it?
No, it's not. So I get it's so power hungry now and money motivated now football, and sustaining top 4 is a be all end all. But I still think the teams like an Everton that are not going to be tough, because let's be honest, the top 4 are what they are. Yeah. So to get in there, it's just you might get in there once every 10 years, but why not win the FA Cup?
Yeah.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? We got there, didn't we, as Hull fans? We got there. Can't remember the year off the top of my head, but we got there and unexpectedly as well.
Yeah.
I think we ended up playing Sheffield
You played,
United.
who'd you be Arsenal?
Sheffield United in the semis,
Yeah.
won it?
Yeah.
Farm
Sheffield
3 in the
United in the
semis.
semis, and
Arsenal in the final.
Yeah, and that was it. We went 2-0 as well and lost 3-2. It literally gave us everything we could have had. We was within touching distance 1 minute, and then we lose 3-2.
Who was the manager? It was Steve Bruce, wasn't it?
Bruce,
Steve Bruce, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I saw that. I was over in Menorca. I remember watching that.
And it was Aaron Ramsey won it late goal.
Yeah.
Well, 2-0. Look, we celebrated after as if we'd won it. Arsenal just went home as if like.
Yeah.
I had the first goal scorer as well, which is James Chester. I had him on the bet. Yeah, 33-1 he was.
And because you was there with the player final as well, with Dean Windass scored that goal.
Yeah.
I was unfortunate
Bristol
not to be there. Like
I was there.
Was you there? Yeah.
Mate.
I played a street football tournament in Bosnia that year. I thought this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, so went and played in this, and I missed out on the playoff final. My dad went, he ran me, just let you know we won, because I could have got an internet signal before in Bosnia. So he ran me. And
2004, wasn't it? Was it
2000?
2008, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can remember being in Covent Garden, just black
Was ya?
and amber. Oh mate, I was steaming.
There's still not many better goals that have been scored in a playoff final of the Premier.
I think it's the highest attendance as well for a playoff final. Yeah.
That's a tough gig, that player final.
So go on then, Richard. Give us your bad and your ugly. What is the really bad sides to the game?
Bad side of what, my career or football in general? Or?
Well, starting because you know what people say, like the bad and the ugly is social media now, but what was it like back in the 80s, 90s, and so forth?
Do you know what? I try and find something bad for my era, but I genuinely can't.
That's good.
You know, I genuinely can't. The only thing I
everybody
would
says
say,
that.
and it's really prevalent now, is the racism.
Yeah.
So back then,
Yeah.
I encountered a lot of racism, but my thoughts on that, I think racism now is spoken about because someone videoed a policeman on George Floyd's.
Yeah.
If that hadn't been videoed, it would have just carried on.
Yeah.
But because that went viral, and because it went, all of a sudden now,
Pricks people's ears up,
racism,
doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Racism has always been there. Racism has always been there. Let's not kid ourselves, but because social media now, it's more people are filming things now,
Yeah.
and they're holding people to account. So that was tough growing up. It was tough growing up in a football era, especially.
Did you
because
experience anything like first hand?
Yeah.
Right, okay. I won't
Yeah.
make you relive it, but
Yeah, I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to talk. My attitude about racism is it says more about you than me.
Yeah.
That's my thing. So I'd be running up and down as a sub at certain grounds, and you just get abuse. You just get. I mean, that picture of John Barnes kicking a banana off the pitch at Goodison.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that was just iconic picture. But it was there. But like I said, it didn't massively affect me because I just.
you seem really, from what I'm getting from you, you seem really disciplined. So
Yeah,
something like that, you think it's not nice, but I can get.
Exactly. I got more annoyed when I was with my wife, for instance. When we were with my wife, and we're coming out of a restaurant, and someone's having a go at her for being or dating or married a black guy. You know that annoyed me because I don't think she's got put up with it either.
Shouldn't be a thing, should it?
And I don't think my kids have endeared it at certain times as well. And that's not right. And we had trouble with my middle one at one stage, and I was just going down and just like knock 10 bells out of something. But then I've got to take a step back and think, right, come on, let's be realistic with this. Racism does happen. It's how we handle it. So the bad side of growing up and playing in football, and it's probably even now to a certain extent, is probably that. And I don't think we do enough for it. And we have all the groups now. We have everyone now, this and that. But if you're going to be really serious about it, then the sanctions need to be formidable. I mean, there's no point going to Bulgaria and they're making monkey chants at Raheem Sterling and people like that, and you fine them 20 grand. 20 grand.
Nothing, knows it.
20 grand's nothing.
It's nothing.
People, I mean, this is not being facetious. 20 grand is nothing. If you want to punish someone, ban them from the next tournament until they get their house in order. But also, us in England, we've also got to get our house in order.
Yeah.
Because whether it's racism, I think disrespecting your position national anthem, I think is awful as well.
It's just got to be across the board, hasn't it?
Yeah.
People have got different levels of racism, and I just think if you just do it across the board, it'll stop.
Without trying to generalise, discrimination in general just needs to be knocked on the head.
Absolutely.
Without trying to put it.
You're never going to clear it all up, mate. You're never going to do it because there's always going to be. I mean, I played for a club. I played and coached at a club, Millwall, and Millwall's got its reputation of what it's got. Right.
But that togetherness is brilliant, though, isn't it?
I worked there for 6 years, 2 as a player, 4 as a coach, and what they do for racism and discrimination is incredible.
Yeah.
The amount of people they send into schools in South London to educate people, it is incredible. And I will back them every single day. I love my 6 years there. But unfortunately, you're never going to change it because it's a generation thing, because the father will pass it down to the kids will pass it down.
Yeah.
The way you have to tackle racism is to educate the young ones. Educate the young ones.
So far
As a footballer as well, isn't it? You know what I mean? You get them at a younger age, don't you? If you can get, it's like the academy now. We're going to just not teach them just football skills, life skills in general.
Absolutely, Scott. Yeah,
and if you do that at the age of 6 or 5, whatever it'll be, that will blossom when much in the life.
And it's easy to mention the generation thing in terms of saying a lot of the older generation are probably used to it because political correctness terms stuff wasn't around at the time. So it was easy to get away with stuff and they probably wanted sanctioned. Whereas now, if you say it and you get picked up on it, especially with phones about and stuff like that, you get caught up and we're seeing it now where people are going to prison or they're getting banned for life from football because of doing this. If we, like I say, if you can educate them at a young age or try and stop the trend somewhere in a generation of family, that's where you can go the right way. But you're right about what you say. It's never going to stop completely.
100%, mate. And I saw TV programs back in the 70s. I look back at them now like, oh my God, how did that?
Even household
get through?
Names like Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
Whoa.
How was that ever on TV? I look back now, I'm like, wow, but it was just
the norm.
One thing I wouldn't want to do is lose our history. I know we're going off tangent here with football now, but I wouldn't want to lose like taking down statues. I don't think we should do that.
Definitely
I think the history
is part
there.
Of history.
It's part of history, and that's to learn from.
Yes.
You have to learn from that. Otherwise, you'll end up cancelling everything.
There'll be nothing.
So but other than that, I don't.
What about John Solarco? That must be a bad thing knowing him for that long. Surely. On a light note.
Listen, he was the best man at my wedding.
What a lad he is.
He was the best man at my wedding, and he done it.
What an absolute super. These two come in. It was like the Chuckle
Did you play
Brothers.
at Palace together?
The Chuckle Brothers, mate.
And
Seriously.
you went to Coventry together as well? Oh, right, okay.
Brilliant.
Well, I went after him.
Brilliant.
I went after John, and
did he play a big part in that? Did he play a big part in you going?
not really. I mean, I was going to go with Chris Coleman because Ron wanted to sign 2 centre halves. Initially, we spoke to Tottenham, the 2 of us, and I don't know, I was a bit, I'm not saying mouthy or anything like that, but I should have done things the right way when I was leaving. And Ron just said, I think it's Ron Knows or something, said, you're not going to play for another London club. So I said, I'm going to go to the next club that comes in anyway.
Hold on one second, did Tottenham want you?
Yeah.
Oh, right, I didn't know that.
And then
who was the manager?
we were just talking at the time, Jerry Francis.
Oh, right.
So we were just talking at the time and bits, but nothing concrete,
Yeah.
just casual chats, as you do with agents into now. I said, I don't mind, I'm going to go to the next club, because the year before I'd been in the England squad, the Umbro Cup, so I really wanted to stay in and around it, which was 95.
Hold on, we're going to gloss over this. Whoa. Let me go back to that.
Are you going to ask me what I know about the Umbro
No,
Cup? Oh.
talk to me about the England squad.
Yeah, that was a pre...
We can't gloss over that. You know, England, shows you, come on.
Yeah, well, I didn't play, I didn't
doesn't
get
matter.
on.
You was a part of something that was absolutely massive.
Yeah, pre-96 with the Euros, wasn't it? And in pre-95 there was a tournament. And I think it was Gary Neville's first tournament, my first tournament, David Unsworth. There was a few, and there was a few people that sat out of it, into the talent.
Did Southgate there as well?
No.
Am I too early or too early?
Just too early, literally months after when Gareth went to Villa. That's what I think about a year, 6 months later he got an English squad, and he very well did as well, very well as well. So I got in now. I was away in Tenerife. I was away in Tenerife with Chris Coleman, Gareth Southgate, ironically enough, John Humphrey, Dane Matthew, Mickey Newman. 6 went to Tenerife. You know what it's like in the season for a few beers and just a wind down.
Yep.
And again, there was no mobile phones, so I'm phoning home. I think I gave it 2 days to my wife now. And Chris Coleman said to me, "You got to phone home. You've been calling the English squad." And I was like,
You won't
"Yeah."
get it.
And I was just like, "Yeah, all right."
To
like
touch
that.
on the taking it 2 days to call them, you won't get away with that nowadays.
No. Well, everyone's got everything now.
Exactly.
The scary thing is, it's like you go on holiday for back then, we went on the piss for 2 weeks. People can't even do 2 days now.
No one knew where you were they? No one knew where they were.
Off the grid.
Madness.
We was just like, I remember before that tour, I've got a great one with Andy Thorne went away a couple of years before, went to Tenerife, and some of the lads used to get the club to write a letter, sort of saying the lads are in a tournament somewhere, so playing Sporting Gijón or something like that, Celta Vigo. We was in Tenerife, right? And Andy Thorne, he was great, 'cause I listened to the story, and we sat around the pool. He hadn't even told his missus where he was.
Wow.
And we're like 4 days in, right? We're 4 days in on the holiday and a few bits. We sat around the pool. I remember sitting around to him, I said, "Thorny, don't you think you better phone your missus and let her know? Because she's going to be absolutely, she don't know where you are." And he was saying, "Yeah, all right." So I marched him to the phone box. I said, "Come on," to the phone box. And he's on the phone. He's phoned her like that. He goes, "Hello? Yeah, it's me." And all I could just hear a blast out of that. You go, "Well, if that's your attitude." and he just put the phone down after 4 days.
Brilliant.
So I'm thinking, like, even then when I had to phone home, and Chris Coleman was trying to get me to phone home, and I'm like, "I'm not going to phone because you're just trying to tell them." So when I phoned home, he says, "Where you been, blah, blah?" And he goes, "So Ted Buxton's been on the phone. You've got to join up with the squad 5-6 times or whatever." So I had one more night in Tenerife, flew back. I'd done a mini pre-season. Wow. And then
Before that night out, did you have a good blast night out?
Yeah, last night. You know, Tenerife's like, it's quite tacky, innit? You know, it's like...
Young Veronica
And
Street.
then, yeah. And then I just done a mini pre-season and joined up with the lads at Burnham Beaches. Like I said, it was our first. Unfortunately, we had 3 games. We had Sweden, Brazil and Japan. And unfortunately, I didn't manage to get on the pitch or anything like that, but even just the 2 weeks.
In and around it though.
2 week training, being in and around training, you training.
So
How
the best
good was
in the country, innit? So
Yeah.
How was that tempo compared to?
It's another level.
It is another level.
It's
again,
another
isn't
level.
it? Yeah.
I mean, I said people say it's the best player you played with. I can't begin. I didn't play with him. I just trained with him for 2 weeks, which is Paul Gascoigne. It was just the lads are there and he's there.
Yeah.
He's there. I mean, the things he sees. I'm like, how's he done that? You can't get close to him, popped it off, blah, blah, blah. He was just another level. And I thought Steve McManaman was the same, and Jamie Redknapp, and really top.
Do you know, the thing I see with Jamie Redknapp, I saw bits of him growing up, but I only see him on like a league of their own. He just gets sick all the time for being injured.
He was a player.
Mate, listen, he played in the reserve team game at Arfield Road because he'd come back from injury. We beat him. I think we drew 1-1. They had like £10 million worth of players. I was worth 250 grand. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, 17 he went to Liverpool, didn't he? 17.
Oh, mate, unbelievable. And he was
Top
probably
player.
70%, but still ping.
Yeah,
Oh,
top player.
different.
Top player. So I wanted to stay in and around that squad if I could, but I needed to get a move to do that because we'd been relegated at Palace, and I jumped into Coventry, and I've got to say I loved it. I thought,
How much did you go for that?
A million, I think 1 point.
Is that what it was?
1 million, 1.1 million, something like that. So yeah, I loved it. The lads are there, made me feel well welcome. Ron Atkinson was good with me.
Yeah.
Gordon Strachan was excellent when he took over as well. So no, that was. I've got to. My initial thoughts were be there for a year, start playing up, claim home sickness, and get back down south. That's my.
What,
we just bought a house.
Oh, really?
We just bought a house in Surrey.
Brilliant.
So we're just doing it up, and I just thought, I can't be. 10 years later, I'm still there. But it was brilliant. The lads were great. I actually loved the area. I loved the area where I was, and the nights out we had, you know, with the lads, and we just had that. We had that real togetherness. Yeah.
So we'll call that half time then. No, Scott's probably going to need another piss.
Yeah, probably. I'll get a drink as well. I'll get a drink.
We'll give it 5 minutes. I want to say a massive thank you as well to Adam Brooks, who's kindly let us use the venue, give us the side room here at the Owl. So massive thank you.
Thank you for listening to episode 1 with Richard Shaw. Part 2 will be coming very soon, so make sure you keep your eyes out and your ears open. Thanks a lot, everyone. Cheers.